to the Relentless CEO Podcast.
Relentless!
With Adam Kifer. Follow your path to success alongside icons and industry leaders in martial arts, fitness, and more. Let's go. This is the Relentless CEO Podcast.
Episode 100 is here. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Relentless CEO Podcast. We have a special episode that we filmed back at the Relentless Summit, hence why I have hair in this podcast. But we sat down with Tention, Kelly Murray, Donovan Ryder, and just had a great conversation about martial arts and the industry. And we're super excited to share this with you. I also want to announce that this is going to be our last episode of the Relentless CEO Podcast. And I'm so grateful for everyone that has tuned in and listened over the years. The feedback, the reviews you've given, all of it means so much to me. And I know that many of you are thinking, why are you stopping? And the real reason is I just want to shift my focus back to serving our clients and to serving the community and really put all of my energy into doing that, because that's really what fulfills me more than anything. And I've had so much fun doing this podcast and just interacting and meeting so many new people through this podcast. I'll be forever grateful for it. But for now, this chapter ends and we're excited to push into the future and continue to serve this industry and do great things for all of the clients that are working with us. Now, don't worry, we're still going to be putting out consistent content. So make sure you like and subscribe. Keep your eyes glued to the channel. Just this podcast is going away. I'm not going anywhere though. Enjoy. All right, guys, episode 100.
This is episode 100?
Episode 100. Do you know who episode number 1 was? Pop quiz. Or the first podcast I ever did. You know who the guest was?
Episode 1?
This was back when it was like the Level Up Lounge.
It stumped me.
Who?
Tention.
Look at that here.
I was in my car outside of a coffee shop doing the podcast with you.
I remember that.
The quality was so terrible. I didn't even have a microphone. I was just like talking on my phone.
Passing by horns and ambulances. Wow.
Sorry, we're right by a bathroom, and someone at the hotel was coming by.
I think you should introduce your other guests. It's only polite.
Well, everyone knows all you people.
Listen,
all right, we got
episode 1. You wasn't here in episode 1. That's all.
The Tention.
Thank you.
The Kelly Murray. The Donovan Ryder.
Yes.
Donovan's first time on the podcast.
On episode 100.
We were talking before this, and I had to pause the conversation because it was like podcast worthy. We were talking about titles, and I think it came about because I was talking about how we had a person at one of our events that came up during one of the panels when we were the coaches on stage, and instead of just like asking the question right away, they're like, "I'm Grandmaster, blah 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 blah," and we all started laughing. And then I think Cosmos was like, "No one gives a shit. What's your question?"
Yeah.
And then we're just sort of talking about like our view on title usage. If you guys don't know, Donovan's Taekwondo schools. Jody's more modern, mixed martial arts.
But I came from that background, so I definitely.
Same. Jody, what's your view on titles? Grandmaster Jody Tention, the third.
I think that whatever you call yourself in your school is your business, your four walls, but it doesn't supersede anybody else's school. It doesn't transfer over. And I'm all about, if that's your title, that's your title. But I don't have to call you that, right? That's only for my four walls. And I think the biggest problem is when...
What about on Facebook, bro?
Who?
Facebook. What if I'm like Grandmaster Adam?
Oh, man, listen. Those guys, listen, that's a whole nother... But if you base your identity off of your titles and you can't see yourself separate from that, I think that's where the problem happens in martial arts. What would you say?
Hello. My opinion was actually based on a question I got at a business conference I was at last weekend. And one of the people was asking about whether or not I thought the staff should call their employers by their title. So like if I work for you, should I be required to call you Master Tention?
Everyone that works at the agency has to call me Grandmaster
Yeah, like
Adam.
if everybody at the agency had to call you Master Adam. And I just said, similar to you, like if that's the title that you have inside of your business and people want to call you that because they respect you and you've earned that title, that's cool. I think what's more important is the culture that surrounds that title and how you're treating your team or how you're treating your community. this is not a dictatorship. If your team is calling you grandmaster and they're afraid to share their opinion and they're afraid to tell you how they really feel, or they're afraid to challenge you in any way, that can be a problem, because this is not the mat, this is the business. And we need thought leaders in the business. We don't just need yes men. And growing up as a martial arts student, you are a soldier. You stand at attention, you do what the teacher says, and that title really reinforces that mindset. And I think that's dangerous for a team. I think good team members think for themselves. They're not afraid to speak their mind, even if it challenges the owner's position or opinion. We don't have to agree with our team, but we have to have a team that thinks for themselves and not just sheep. So in that regard, I think it's okay to call them the title, but I think it's the culture that surrounds it that really impacts.
So do you think, like, if I'm grandmaster, I'm grandmaster, and we're having a business discussion, that goes out the window? Okay, I agree with you.
Donovan?
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I have a small mic at home. Okay, that came out wrong. All right, here we go. I would agree. I think it depends on the situation. And I gave an example earlier. As I had a parent in one of our new locations, I just introduced myself as Donovan. And they were like, well, what should we call you? And I was like, well, you can call me Donovan because that's my name. Mm-hmm. But again, if you're on the mat and you're teaching, the students call you, again, whatever you want them to call you. I think it's a time and a place. It's the same thing if I take my daughter to the doctor. Right, the doctor would introduce himself as Dr. Smith or Dr. whatever it is. But outside of it, if you met someone at a bar and they said, "Hi, I'm Dr. Adam Kifer,"
I was just thinking about that.
It seems a little weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like, to Jadi's point, you're attaching your identity to that, right? And I think there's much more substance to you. What we do, there's a lot of substance involved around character development, just being leaders to our community, leaders to our team, leaders to our students. And if you are always in that title position and people can't challenge you or see you in a different light, I think there's a problem there.
So what do you think is a thin line, though? Like, what's the line where because it's almost like they'll pull rank on you when they want to dominate. Well,
that's level one leadership.
Yeah,
that's level one leadership. When you have to get someone to do something just because of your title, like that's limiting your ability to lead.
Yes,
like, and develop as a leader. So I don't like it when I see it used like that. Like, I think I lose respect for the person almost instantly. I agree. Like, whatever fits your culture, do that's fine. But I also believe that, like, and here's the reason we use coaches. Like, full transparency, I was at the grocery store one time, and this little black kid we taught was in the grocery store, and I hear Master Kifer from across the grocery store, and like, I look and I'm just like, this looks so terrible right now. And
it's not good.
And I know. And that's why I was like, I got to think of something different. I was like, this is not going to work.
So very similar. My dad, I love him to death, but he goes by Shihan, which is master instructor in Japanese or whatnot. And for summer camp, we used to take the kids to his house. He lives in this great house out in the country. And these two little mixed kids were getting in their car, and the neighbor calls out, "Hey, where are you guys headed?" They're going, "We're going to my master's house." It can get a little tricky.
That's nasty work right there. It's nasty work.
But, there's also a difference between master instructor and just sensei, right? Which is just teacher too. Mm-hmm. So there's almost like some people putting themselves on this elevated pedestal. It's enough to just be teacher, no? Or Mr. or Mrs. Yeah. Like, that's a sign of respect. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. We're taking it like a step further by adding in master or grandmaster.
Supreme grandmaster.
Exactly. There's the superiority attached to those words, especially in our culture, that a lot of us just don't feel good about.
Well, what drives me crazy is when I see people use their title as a reason to try and get people to believe that they know the answer to everything. It's like, well, I don't need to listen to you because I'm a master and you're a third degree, even though even though my school has got it's grossing like $60,000 a month and you have 14 students and barely keeping the lights on. It's like, no, I don't need to listen to you about business at all because I'm a higher belt than you. That's craziness.
There was this one time I was in an organization and I went to Atlanta to meet the head instructor, Soke. And I was talking to him about gear, equipment, and I was like, listen, I know this vendor that will get you the equipment cheaper. And he was like, no. And I was like, but this is going to allow you to make more money. You can sell it, the gear, for more, get it for cheaper. No. So I said, Soke, now I'm in this organization maybe about a year now. I said, Soke, Can I ask you a question? Why not? Why not? Why not do this? And his exact words to me was, because I'm soke and I said so.
Level 1 leadership.
So I looked at my friend who brought me into the group. I said, I would never follow him. I said, never. I got more students than him. I make more than him. I was like, I would never get in line for that mentality. And I never associated with trying to get rank in that organization because of that mentality that they would throw everything out the window because they're soke, they're a grandmaster. And I think this is like running rampant in the martial arts in 2024, which is crazy.
It's like when your mom says, because I said so.
Yeah.
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 Well, to your point, Adam, like level 1 leadership, if you have to tell someone you're a leader, you're probably not a leader, right? You ever go to, I mean, we have 9 schools, right? Any school that I pop in for the day, if I start moving around and doing stuff, a lot of the parents have never seen me before. They don't even know who I am necessarily, but they start to gravitate to you because they know who's in charge.
Yes.
They know who's behind the scenes pulling the strings.
Yes.
Right. So I think, again, you shouldn't have to tell people whatever the title is. If you are a leader, if you're in charge, they will get the message. They will understand it.
So I should get rid of my shirt that says leader on it.
But isn't that true about like when people say, I'm the most authentic person you'll ever meet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the most honest person. I'm the most generous
I'm
person.
the most non-racist person you'll ever meet. All of that, right?
Yeah.
It's like, why do you have to announce those things about yourself? You should just be doing and showing versus telling.
Right after a racist comment too. Something like,
Master.
like, I got a black friend. Remember that dude? Remember that one dude?
Listen,
Remember that was a martial arts guy. Remember that?
Listen, we can have, okay.
Some of my best friends are black guys.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cool. They're cool with it. They said it was cool.
I've had one.
But how would somebody break that whole system and that mindset up?
I think it's not being like a slave to tradition, like just doing it because tradition told you to and your instructor told you to. Like, I also think, like, we don't even use the term instructor. We use coach for a specific reason, right? Because like when I think about instructor, or when I think about a lot of instructors, they just stand up in front of the room and they instruct. When I think of coach, I think of someone that like mentors you through something that's like sitting there and working with you on the details, helping you develop better mental toughness, all that stuff. So that's part of the reason we went with coach. Like there's an intention behind it because of the culture we wanted to create. So I think, I don't know, it's not for everyone.
No, I got you.
But I think getting around people that are doing it different and just getting out of the industry and getting into other industries. Because any other industry that sees like a martial arts school employee calling their boss master, they're just like,
it's
what?
Yeah.
Like the fitness industry looks at that. They're just
Absolutely. We're the only ones that do that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird things in our industry that don't make sense to other industries.
Yep.
And it's interesting is when I started out, when we opened the first school 12 years ago, I taught in a t-shirt and like athletic pants, and I had all the kids call me coach. And then I had kids that transferred over that were like, well, we're used to calling our instructor master and things like that. And I signed up for a coaching program, a mentor in our industry. And he was like, you gotta go to uniforms. You need to go to more belts, the belt testing. They got to start calling you master. Yeah. And honestly, I bought into it. I was like, I guess I need to be more traditional through this. But we were the exact same way early on. I'm like, I remember having a conversation with him and saying, I'm not anyone's master. And he's like, well, no, it's your title. It's just the title of your rank. And I was like, but when those kids refer to me, they refer to me as that's my master. And I'd rather be their coach, their friend, their mentor.
I think to some degree, because you can have an instructor, a sensei to do all those things, I think it just ultimately goes back to what Kelly said of, what does your actions say? What do your actions say, right? Can people relate to you and see you as, we want to judge you because of who you are as a person on the mat and not because your 3rd, 7th, 8th, because that only means something to you.
Yeah.
You take your 3rd degree and 10th degree, you walk into the bank and see how that works for you, right? So it only means to you and your accomplishments to whoever promoted you. That doesn't fall into my yard. I had a guy walk in. He sat down, he watched my class, and I recognized him. I said, hey, what's going on? How you doing? We was talking for a little while, maybe like 5 minutes. And he says, oh, so, you don't stop your class to recognize the masters? I said, I'm not stopping my class for nobody. Exactly. He wanted me to stop and go, this is so-and-so.
Everybody bow.
You're not that to me. You that to whoever promoted you. You don't come in here with that. And a lot of them come in here with that entitlement or that sense of privilege of, I am floating on a cloud and grandmaster.
Yeah.
I know. We don't do that over here.
What's interesting? I was talking to you about being at Ernie Reyes' school for a couple of days, and they're still very traditional on titles. Like everyone calls him Kwanjanim and everything. But the guy, his actions back up everything. He is like the nicest person on the planet. While I was there, I felt like I was like the best guest ever. Like he personally drove me around everywhere, wouldn't let me Uber, like none of that stuff. And he was such like a servitude leader that I was like, this makes like, and everyone is super loyal. Everyone bows to him. Everyone is like, if he's like, hey, why isn't that like that? They're like, yes, sir. And they go do it right away. But it's out of respect. It wasn't out of like fear. I never heard him use his title as a way to like, you're a genuine, great, passionate dude about martial arts. And like, I think him and Dave Cove are the two people I've met that like embody the spirit of martial arts like more than anyone, where you can just tell by a conversation with them that they're like, oh, like they act this out daily.
That's what I was gonna say. There are some people in my life who have earned a title of respect.
Yeah.
I would have no problem calling them master, to be honest, because I feel like their actions. Yes, you are one
Master
of them.
Adam, Master Donovan.
Our teacher in our style of martial arts was referred to as master, but this man similar was so humble and treated us so well and was so kind and never demanded the respect. Never was like, you must call me master. It was, I wanted to bow. I mean, obviously in Japan, that's a symbol of respect and just kindness and courtesy. It's not about serving anyone or worshiping anyone there. It's just a courtesy. And that's different.
Yeah.
And that's been translated into something completely false here in the States over time than what it was originally like created for.
I like, I sort of like BJJ too, what they do, where it's professor.
Yes.
Like, because that's like a term of respect, but it's also like, I know you have knowledge type of thing. It's not like kiss my ass type of thing. That's why I'm down with BJJ, as Master Ken calls it.
I'm doing a seminar for kids and he called it that.
Cool.
He doesn't filter himself for kids, Master Ken.
Shout out to
yes.
Yeah, he was in a BJJ school and he's like, what's this BJJ bullshit? And then the camera moves and there's like a kid sitting right in the front row. I was like, oh
man, that's like Coach Randy.
I love Master Ken, but I would never have him in my school.
Man.
I got a great Coach Randy
story,
Coach but Randy's I don't know if I can tell
it though. Listen, that guy.
I love Randy.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to Coach Randy.
What? This is like the most awkward microphone handoff ever.
I just wanted to say we're at the Relentless 2024 Summit right now. For those of you who don't know, we are in the hotel where the event is being held.
By the bathrooms.
We just had the most insane 4-hour training outside in the Phoenix heat.
Yes.
It was awesome.
But it was
you guys crushed it. First of all, shout out Adam and Donovan participated. Jody coached, taught, mastered whatever you did out there. You were. We had a bunch of amazing athletes out, students, whatever, members. 4 hours.
Yeah,
we killed it.
That's what I love about this. And Jody was sort of the one that spearheaded this of us doing physical training at every one of our meetings, and then the summit as well. It's like a lot of events you just do the business part, or you just go and do the physical training, or they do both, but it's like one side is just so much stronger than the other.
Yes,
it's like
you
get good physical training, but then the business seminars, you're just like, these people should not be teaching both type of thing. And I think that's what makes this event different is that we have, you were coaching, Coach Randy was out there, Jared Kinnear, who's a title contender in the UFC, Ross, who's world champ, like all you guys crushed it today. And then we have the business side coming up. You got like Jason Fladley, who when we first announced him as speaker, he was the $100 million guy because he had $100 million in sales. He's at $250 million now.
Crazy.
It's a $250 million in sales. Like, what other martial arts event are you going to and getting the best of both worlds?
Well, I think that again, which goes to my presentation on Saturday. But I think that I think the thing about your leadership is that you're not trying to be everything. You put the pieces in different places. And I think the physical part goes with with part of the instruction of owning the martial arts school. It's like having a bunch of cooks and we never in the kitchen together.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have Donovan and you have Kelly with the management and Bryce and Chris and just, all the other guys, man. It's just the way you put it together. I think that's the thing that's different because I've been to a couple of different events and I always got that used car salesman feel. I never felt like, I was hearing some advice, but I never felt like I wanted to really be a part of the group. I always felt like I was being sold something all the time. So this is definitely, even though I'm a coach, I get to sit back and really go, oh, I like that. From all of you, every single time, every single mastermind, every single summit.
I got a good question for everyone. Give us a story about like what you think one of the best events you've ever been to is in the martial arts industry. And give me a story about one of the worst events. You don't have to name the event, but like I got a good one for worst event.
You said what?
Best event and worst event.
Also, I brought it up because I wanted to know what y'all were looking forward to the most this weekend.
All right, we can do that first.
So.
Yeah. Donovan, what are you looking forward to the most besides hanging out with me?
besides making new friends, really getting to meet other people. And I know that's super cliche, but an event just like this literally changed the trajectory of my life, my business. 9 years ago, right? Or maybe even 10 years ago now. I met Kelly. I met a lot of great people that, because I was open to changing, I was open to talking and having conversations and doing things differently. It literally changed my life. So I think events like this are super valuable, not only for the content, but just the connections and having people hold you accountable. It's something that we've been growing a lot in our business. And to be honest, the training kind of gets put aside sometimes, right? We've all been there where we got a lot of other things on the plate to do. Yeah. But since joining the Relentless team and being around you all and talking to Jadi, that's something we started replacing our team training. It used to be a lot of like, here's how we teach and here's how we present and here's how we say this. And it's been shifted to like, hey guys, we're training and we're all sharing and we're working together. We're kicking. We're actually doing martial arts. And I will tell you, ever since we made that switch, our team is tighter now. They're not only are they getting better at martial arts, but they're getting tighter. The community is getting better. So it's been awesome. I'm excited for it.
For me, I think today, and the reason I say today is because we had a bunch of the CEOs working out. But the improvement from now to last year, the lack of we used to get the resistance, the look, but the staying out there for 4 hours.
We had to like fight people to even show up.
Yes.
Like it's 9 in the morning.
Exactly. For them to be here, training in that sun, not complaining, 4 hours. And the thing about it, even though the instructors was being technical, it wasn't like everyone was so lost or shocked or jab, sidestep. And that's just from the months and the time and the summits and the masterminds to see the improvement of the leaders of these martial arts schools improve. I thought that was a big deal because they're way better this year than they were last year. 100%. Definitely.
I agree. I also think, to your point, training together is a type of bonding that doesn't happen any other way. Like getting out there, struggling together, sweating together, in the heat together.
Hook kicked in the face by Jadi.
That's just the magic of what we do. You know, and being able to share it together is pretty cool. I love being at an event like this and seeing people who come very quiet, very shy, very intimidated, recognize that this is really, truly like not intimidating, that this is a family, that we are here for each other. I love watching their guard come down. That's my favorite part, is just seeing people who are not sure, who are kind of like, hey, I don't know about this. I'm skeptical, right? But then they start to get to know, we just have such an amazing group of members and people who are here this weekend. The vibe is already so great. And I love sharing that with people so that they can see you can be successful and not be an asshole. You can be great at martial arts and great at business. You can make lots of money and be an impact in your community. I love when people start to get that aha moment because it's just like, that's why we do it.
Right from Ross's warm-up today when we were all like in a circle, I was like, oh, this is something special. Like this is
he crushed it too.
He did.
Yeah, he crushed it.
Yeah, I have 3 things that I'm looking forward to. First is I love watching the audience when people speak because I think it tells more about how good the speaker is than actually watching the speaker sometimes. So I'm always eyes on the audience a lot of times. And when you just see someone in the audience and they just like look up like, oh, it clicked. Like something hit home for them. And it was like the one thing they needed from the event they got. I also love when we bring in someone from outside the industry that nobody knows about. And then they see him speak and they're like, how do I not know who this is? Like, I think we've had one of those every year. Jason Wilson last year, technically he's in the industry, but not really, right? I don't think anyone knew how good he was going to be on stage.
I voted for him.
Yes. I voted for him too.
Yes.
It was like 3 against 4.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm the CEO, so level 1 leadership.
It was.
But I knew it was going to be the most impactful speaker.
For sure.
I think Gary Brecka was that a couple years ago where who's this guy talking about like health and stuff, and then he's on stage and like people are crying in the audience. That was awesome. Let's see if I can remember the third thing I was gonna say. 1, 2. I don't even remember the third thing.
Menopause, man. Menopause.
Yeah. It actually was. Yeah. So the third thing, this happens every year. So we have a stand-up, for those of you that haven't been to a summit, like we have a stand-up comedian that closes out our cocktail party. We always put so much messaging. We announce it. We're just like, if you're easily offended, if you don't like vulgar comedy, like you should not go to this. And there's always one person every year that stands up and gets offended and just leaves in the middle of the show.
Yes.
And now it's like something I look forward to. I almost don't want to sit in the front. I almost want to sit in the back just so I could be like, oh, that's the one. That's the one that's leaving. They didn't read any of the emails or text messages.
Man, listen, it's good because we all get to be ourselves, and even outside your uniform, sitting at the events, you have the pool party, the dinners, the going to the mansion. Like this, it's not just like New Orleans was crazy. New Orleans was off the.
I don't think I ever want to go to New Orleans again.
Well,
just Bourbon Street. I was like, I only need to do this
but
once.
The vibe was really good. And the boat party, that was amazing.
The boat party was awesome. Yeah.
But the thing that makes that is our people.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's our people. We have, and I'm sure everybody feels. Maybe not. I don't know. I've been in other masterminds, and I didn't feel.
It's a different vibe.
It's totally our people. We have such a great community, and I feel like they have gotten so much closer over the last year. It has not been an easy year for a lot of people, like us, but also a lot of people have struggled this last year, and it has brought all of us closer. It's just the amount of support and.
These are cardioid mics, so it won't pick up any background noise. Yeah.
Just so you guys know,
my engineering
toilets are flushing every 5 seconds. So this is pretty entertaining for ourselves. But yeah, it's been really cool to see the amount of love and support, even personally, that people are showing up with for each other.
Yeah.
And it's like not obviously what happens in your personal life affects your professional life, probably more than any other thing.
Yes.
And so the amount of just support that we've developed with each other, that our community has developed with each other, has been really, really cool. And that's what makes our event special. It could be New Orleans is definitely a thing, but it could be anywhere, and it would be that good.
Yeah. I think we have the right people to make it fun. I also think there's no egos for the most part in our group, which is helpful because there's I don't know if there's ever been a mastermind I've been in where there wasn't like ego in the room, whether it was from the people running it or whether it was from the people in the mastermind. Like we've been in some pretty expensive masterminds, and there's some masterminds where like the person running it won't even like take time to go talk to people in the group. And it's like, these people are paying you money, like a lot of money. And you're not even taking the time to like have a conversation with them or go out of your way. I left a really expensive mastermind because of that. And I hit them up afterwards, and they're cool about it. They apologized, and the guy's like, I'm just really introverted. And like, like, then you shouldn't be running a mastermind. Like you're smart as shit, but I'm like, you need to be, you need to be shaking hands and kissing babies and like actually helping people with their problems on a face-to-face basis. And I also think we have coaches that really care about moving the industry forward. And I think that's a big part of it. I don't think any of our coaches are here just to like sit back and collect a paycheck. I think we're all here to, why'd you look like Johnny like that?
I know you're only here for the money.
Come on, listen.
All right, best and worst event?
Yeah, you don't have a microphone, by the way, Kelly, so no one
knows
knows what you're saying.
Best and worst event?
Hey, can I overdub Kelly when she's talking without a mic? We'll just put my voice in there over it, and I'll just
worst
make
event.
up what she's saying. You don't have to say the name of the event if you don't want. Like, I'm not trying to. Like,
the worst event I've probably been to was the one in Vegas.
Ours?
No.
The old one that.
In Vegas. Yeah, that was probably. That's when I felt like I was a used car salesman was talking to me.
I had a booth at that when I remember talking to you afterwards.
Yes.
And I'm like, how's it going? And you're just like, you didn't want to talk about it.
I felt like everybody was just plastic, right? Like, the thing that people don't realize is that if I like you, I'll listen to you. If I trust you, I'll spend money with you.
Yep.
These people were trying to get me to invest in them, and I don't have any trust with them. You didn't even know my Jade. Like, you don't even know how to say my name the right way. Jihadi. Right? And I'm just like, you asking me for an investment, and we can't even have this simple rapport with each other. And I just felt like that. And they kept leading with their money. And my school makes $80,000. I don't know. That doesn't make me want to train with you. You know, when your students come to your schools, they drive past other martial arts schools because it's something about you that makes them want to be there. And I think sometimes these consultants forget that it has to be something about you that makes me want to be there, right? So that was the event, but I really enjoyed New Orleans. And the reason I say that is because everybody was just being themselves. We was talking about marriage relationships. We was talking about money, people doing well, people not doing. It was just real conversation with real people. And the thing about the boat was it made a separate conversation on this side of the room, a separate conversation on that. And it was just, I just thought it was great. I just thought the whole vibe was just really it didn't feel like a business trip to me. It really felt like it was just really a good time that we had there.
I agree.
Yeah, I would say worst event also in Vegas.
Which one, ours?
No, not ours.
Oh.
A couple years ago. Maybe the last one of a while. Not mentioning any names. It was just a very weird vibe. It was a very cold vibe. Disconnected. It didn't feel like anybody was on the same page. There was probably no thought process about like the objective of the event. So it was like everybody's just doing their own thing. I'm gonna pass on the best event because I gotta think. I like all of our events, but
Mexico?
Mexico was fun. I love all of our events.
Mexico was another good.
The yacht.
But that's
the
probably
yacht
pretty
was-
biased.
As soon as like whales started jumping out of the water, I was just like, can this get any better? I was like, we're on a yacht and there's whales.
I had a great summit with Tim Grover.
Yeah.
That was amazing. That was my first Relentless summit. So maybe I'll pick that one.
Nice. Donovan?
Yeah, worst event. I don't know how to. It was an event probably 2 years ago. I'm just going to leave it that way. I'm not trying to. I can't say where it was at.
It's a politically correct guy.
Is this event still running?
Yes, they are still running pretty regularly, actually. But the person I talked to, they had us. It was some good information, but very basic, low level type stuff. And some people need that. I needed that 10 years ago. But what got me was when they said, "Hey, who here is doing?" They said, "Who's doing over $100,000 a month?" And me and one other guy raised our hand. They said, "Well, you guys come talk to us at the end of the day." So we went to talk to them, and he's like, "Tell me about your business." And I was telling him, he's like, "Oh yeah, you have to change that." I was like,
I know who you're talking about.
Mhm.
Okay.
"Okay." And he's like, well, what about this? He's like, "What are your biggest programs?" I'm like, "Well, we do it all. We do the martial arts, we do the after school, we do the summer camp." He's like, "You got to cut that. You're going all in on all in on martial arts. You're cutting the after school. You're cutting the summer camp. You're focusing on this." And I'm like, I kind of like what we do. We built our entire business around. We like it. And we're making great money. And he's like, "You got to switch it. This stuff's not working." And then this person's big into real estate. Some of my best friends are huge real estate investors. Most of my closest friends in Charleston, that's all they do. They just, are real estate investors. And I was asking about some of the deals, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's stupid. Your friend's doing it the wrong way." I'm like, but kind of back to the point, it was very like, my way is the way to do it, and your way is wrong.
Yes.
And then again, it's back to the original point with the masters. It's like, well, I don't want to listen to you because I'm a higher rank, but you have more money, or your school, grosses more than mine does. But the same thing in this situation. I'm like, I have friends that have 4 or 5 times the revenue that you're producing in the real estate business, but you're like, you're wrong. You shouldn't do it that way. And I just don't like being closed-minded. I think there's plenty of ways. At least it's worth a conversation. Let's talk this through. So I was really shut off, and I've never done that.
Yeah. We're taping down some chords in the background right now.
I agree with you. I think in general, coaches that are like, it's my way or it's wrong, that's a terrible way to coach.
I was immediately like, I'm done. An interesting story.
Something about you that the tape just keep coming out.
Yeah.
There's a million ways to get to the same destination.
100%. I was immediately done with it. And what's funny though, still to this day, the other school owner that I said, they were like two of us that did $100K a month. We still get together 2 or 3 times a year. I'll fly to his schools. He flies to my schools. We share. We do not do the same sport. He does not do after school. He does not do summer camp. And we just share and connect. And it's awesome.
Yep.
It's cool.
Kind of is similar to like the Grandmaster, but the business.
Yeah.
Right? Like, well, I make $100,000 a month, so I know everything and you should do it like me. That's the same as saying, well, I'm the Grandmaster and I have a 10th degree black belt, so you should do it like me. It's the same thing.
I went to an event that it wasn't terrible. It just was, I don't know. It was it was a my way.
School?
No, it was like a my way or the highway type of thing. And I didn't have like the worst. It was just like, there was a lot of rah-rah at the event and sort of culty. And then I left and the guy running the event called me and was like, take me on a tour of your school. And at this time, we were doing about 60.
He said, take you.
Like FaceTime. He goes, take me on a tour of your school.
Okay.
So we were doing about 60 grand a month at this time. And I know for a fact that 99% of the other people at that event, because it wasn't just martial arts focused, it was focused on other programs too. We're like struggling on the martial arts side. So I take him through and he's like, man, you're the one of the best looking schools I've ever seen. I'm like, thank you. And he's like, you need to repaint everything blue and green. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah. And I go, why? And he's like, because those are safe colors for parents. Green means safe. And I'm just like, Nike is like, our school is orange at the time. I go, Nike is orange. Gatorade is orange. And I was like, every parent wants to buy Nikes for their kids. Every kid wants Nikes. Every kid wants Gatorade. And I was like, he's like, no, you got to do it blue and green. And I'm just like, that's insanity. Yes. And then I send my team the next year. I didn't go. And they go, I get a call from my manager and she's like, were we supposed to wear like a blue or green polo? And I go, why? And she's like, everyone is like the same neon green polo at this event. And then she's like, you know what's interesting though? She goes, I was talking to someone next to us from a different school, and we're grossing about 40,000 more than them. And then she's like, oh, you guys must be killing it with summer camp. And she's like, well, this was our first year doing summer camp. And she's like, we did it okay. But she's like, it's our martial arts program that's killing it. And they're like, how many people do you have? And she's like, it doesn't matter. She's like, what we're doing though is we're grossing $60,000 a month from martial arts alone. And they're like, how? They're like, we're grossing 5. And then like just from the martial arts, because they were big on like after school and summer camp. And then all of a sudden my manager's like, it just started like a crowd around me started asking me all these questions about what we're doing on the martial arts program and stuff. And I go, you know what that means? She's like, no. I go, it means you're in the wrong room. I'm like, we got to get you in a different room. And but it was just like, it was such a cult, like that no one would question anything. No one would ask the why, like none of that stuff. And it's just like, that should be part of it. Like I want our clients that don't understand something we're teaching or don't see the reason for it to be like, well, why would that be beneficial? Because it might not be beneficial for you, but it might be beneficial for the rest of the room, right?
That's what I was thinking. That's why I grabbed the mic. It's like, we want to teach people how to think, right? When you coach someone and you just say, do it like this, you eliminate the ability for them to have any kind of critical thinking. And that's exactly what's wrong with, in my opinion, I sound like I'm 75 years old. That's what's wrong with kids these days. But truly, is that they're in school and people are telling them what to think. And when you challenge that or when you question it, it's shot down. Mm-hmm. And that's why nobody can think. That's why we have a bunch of sheeple instead of thought leaders. And that's the same thing that happens inside consulting groups that don't allow for people to challenge. I mean, I can't count how many times someone has stand up and said, I don't agree in our room, or can you explain it again? Or it doesn't make sense, or I do it this way. And even the coaches do things differently. And it's like, there are many paths to the same place. And if we're not allowing people to do it on their own, they never fully build the confidence to do it on their own. Right. You can't just copy paste your way through life. Yeah. You can learn and model, but when do you actually internalize and inherit the same skill set to be able to create your own product, your own service that actually is authentic to who you are?
You was looking at my notes.
Mic drop.
You mentioned earlier about the culture. Like it's your culture.
Yes.
How many times I can go to Johnny's school and try to be like, all right, write down all the curriculum today, and I can do it at my school on Monday. It's not the same thing. Yes. It's not the same. Yes. It's a copy of a copy. Yes. It's not the original.
All we're teaching is jabs and crosses, right, Johnny?
Man, listen. I always tell people, if you keep waiting on to copy and paste, that means the person that you're learning on, you have to wait for them for creativity.
Yep. You
have to literally, when is he going to do a new video? And this is the problem now. We got guys that are running these online black belt programs and telling people they're black belts and nobody fails. And in 9 months, you can have a baby and be a black belt. And, you can do all of this. And then when you watch them put this stuff on video, it's horrific.
It's bad.
It's because it's no guidance. It's get on the highway. You're driving on the highway with no lanes. There's no structure. It's just copy and paste. And you have to have an emotional connection with the moves. That's why we do we have these training sessions, because it has to be a direct connection with who you're learning from, their philosophy, why they see things, and you can see how it fits into your school. Eat the meat, spit out the bones. And this is huge with our industry. Too much copy and paste. Too many blueprints and not enough architects, not enough teachers, just a bunch of copy and paste guys who are lazy learners.
you guys know I had a talk with someone recently that was copying a bunch of our stuff.
Oh, yes.
And like I wasn't upset or anything, but I was just like, hey, I go, one of the things I don't think you're realizing is that you guys are always going to be behind. I go, because you're always going to be, just like you said, I'm like, you're always going to be waiting to see what we do.
Yes.
And then you're going to do your version. But I'm like, it's like when you make a copy of something so many times, all of a sudden you can't read the words anymore because it's not clear. The ink's getting blotted. Areas are dark. They're not supposed to. And I go, that's what's happening. And I'm like, it's going to be a Temu versus the original version.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, you guys are making the Temu version right now. And I was like, you got to be, if you want to be creative, which they're creative people for sure. I was like, if you want to be creative, like you can't be copying. You got to think, well, Adam's doing it this way. How do I make it better than that? Or how do I do it? Or how do I make it fit our culture?
Yes.
Because that's the other thing I talked about. I was like, when I look inside your school and I see the videos and stuff, I don't know what's going on. It's like, this is over here, this is over there. And there's not congruency pushing everything in the same direction. And I think it's because you're pulling from, I'm going to copy Adam's stuff for this. I'm going to copy this person's stuff for this, instead of like, how do I make this fit into what we're doing? Like, how do I make it work? You can't just take a bunch of puzzle pieces from different puzzle boxes and then
picture.
Yeah.
It's like using stock images, right? Like, remember when Facebook ads first blew up? It
was like all stock.
It was all stock images, right? And everyone's like seeing these great copy, beautiful images, and then they go to these hole-in-the-wall schools that smell like a foot, that never get mopped, that are dirty, and then the parents, there's not congruency there. They know it's wrong. So now they not only have a bad image of your school, they have a bad image of martial arts. Right. So you're kind of tainting the entire image or the entire industry. I think it's important to be yourself, because even if I try to copy what Move is doing, I'm not Move. Those aren't my colors. That's not what we teach. If a parent asks me or a student asks me, why do we do it this way? I don't know. Let me text Adam real quick. That's not real. It's not who you are. And people are going to know that, whether you say it, and you can get pretty damn close to it, but it's still not the same thing. Right. It's still a knockoff.
We all had the same Asian kid bowing on our ads for like 2 years.
It's the same reason why the greatest cooks in the world can give you a cookbook of all of their recipes and it's still not the same. It's just something about the way they stir the pot that's a little bit different. It could be the same exact ingredients, same oven, same 350 degrees, and it's still not the same. Right? And it's like what we were talking about today. 4 different instructors. We all got different similarities and different principles. But if any of us get into each other's car, you're going to adjust the mirrors the way it fit for you. You're going to adjust the seat. I like my seat back. You like your seat closer. We all going to have a different feel in that car. Even though we drive it, we still got to adjust it for us. And I think that's the problem with the martial arts right now. Like you said, it's too much copy and pasting, right?
I want to know, if you guys were looking for a coach or a mentor or coaching program, what are some of the things that you would think about and ask before deciding to go with that person/organization?
This one's easy for me.
For me, he or she, it would just has to resonate with me morally. Like,
Same.
It would be important for me. We don't have to have everything in agreement, but I just got to know that you care, that you train, that you care, that you are constantly evolving. I want to feel like if I walk away from you 6 months from now, when I come back, I got to catch up. Right. You know, I don't want to feel like, oh, I could walk away 3 years and I come back to the same exact thing. Somebody that's constantly evolving, somebody who's kind, somebody who cares, somebody who's passionate, and somebody, like I said, who our morals align with as people. I think that would be absolutely important to me.
Yeah, I think values are one of the most important things. Like, I think Taylor is such a good example of like one of the perfect coaches for me, because his values are so in line. He's big into like Christianity, which I am as well. But he's also running businesses. I don't want to learn from the guy that did it. I want to learn from the guy doing it and doing it successfully, because they're facing the same problems that you're facing. And they're like, hey, this is how we're pivoting. This is how we're doing it now. And otherwise, I just think the things they teach get stagnant over time. And Taylor was even saying this because they just redid their whole sales process and how they teach sales. And he's like, what worked 2 years ago in sales does not work anymore, especially this year. And we just redid part of our sales thing as well. And that's what you want. You want people changing because they're adapting to what's happening in the world. They're adapting to how society's values are changing and those things. And the guy that did it 5 years ago and hasn't done it since then
is living in 5 years ago.
Yes,
100%.
And be like, well, that worked for me. But it was a different time. It was different back then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree on both those fronts. I think like you said, it has to be someone doing it, like doing it right now. I need you in the kitchen cooking. I'm learning. I need you in the kitchen. What we did pre-COVID to during COVID and getting out of it to where we are now is not the same. Our business is completely different. And that's in a 4-year window. Yeah. It's not the same at all. Things I look at personally for a mentor, the big ones, faith, family, fitness, and finance. Faith, obviously, not that we have to have the same faith, but do they have faith in something in themselves, a higher being? Family is huge to me. I don't care how much money you have, how successful you are. If you do not have a great relationship with your family, I could care less about it, to be honest, the relationship. I can still respect you, but it's just not for me. Fitness, are you taking care of yourself? Are you worried about longevity? And then finances, right? Like not only are we here to make money, are we here to help our team grow, help other people grow, and then give back to charity? That's a big one for us.
I think it has to be like someone that you'd actually genuinely want to like have a beer with and like
be able
to sit down and be like, I don't want to like punch this person in the face after 10 minutes with them. Like, Taylor and I went to dinner like with Bijo for her event, and Taylor and I clicked instantly because we both have like the sense of humor of like a 5-year-old. Not like a middle schooler, probably middle schooler.
What?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And
he was good, right?
And like instantly we were like, this is where we're supposed to be. It works.
I mean, I echo everything you're saying. I also would go back. The reason I thought of this is because I want a coach that's going to make me think. I want a coach that's going to make me challenge my thoughts, think outside of my box, be willing to, ask questions that I can't ask myself, force me out of my comfort zone. I don't want someone to tell me the easy way. I want you to, if it's appropriate, I want you to give me an alternative way of thinking about it, looking at it. And I want it to be able to come from me, not you, if that makes sense.
And why is that, Kelly? See what I just did there? See what I just did there?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good, I started going to therapy this last year, which I highly recommend, by the way. And, I feel like a therapist is a similar type of coach / mentor, just for more personal type. Leah's shaking her head yes, because and it was really about finding the right person that could do that. Because I went to a therapist who was just like, oh, that sounds so hard. That sounds really difficult. I'm really sorry you went through that.
Talking to your friend's mom.
It just wasn't helpful for me personally. I didn't need that type of, exactly. I wanted a toolkit and have you thought about it this way? And have you tried doing this? And that's what's helpful for me. So I look for that in coaches and mentors as well. Again, I don't want to be a sheep. Yeah. I want to be able to build skills and tools that I can use for a long time, not just for a short time.
It was interesting. I don't even know what I was listening to. I was listening to some podcast or reel or something. And it was a sales guy talking. And he goes, do you know why you build rapport with people? So you can break it later when you need to like get through to them. And I was like, that's a great quality to have in a coach. Like someone that has such deep rapport with you that they know they can break it because they need to get through to you at a certain moment. And the reason I thought about that is when you're talking about therapists, like I had that one therapist I told you about that I went to, and it was almost like she just kept making excuses for me. And I was like, this isn't what I want. I was like, you're going to get me victim mindset. I like, don't give me that shit.
Yes.
It's the same thing we do for our students, right? We're supposed to challenge them. We're supposed to push them beyond their limits.
You speak.
But if your coach isn't doing that, your mentor's not doing that, probably not a good fit.
Yeah.
It's like the teachers who are walking around yelling out "good job," and like all the kids are cheating.
Factories.
Like the kids are not doing a good job at all, and we're out there going, "Great job, great job!" High fives, and I'm just like, as soon as you turn your back, they're not working hard at all.
You know what my favorite version of that is? It's the kid that like in the little kids class that just starts running around the mat, and the coach is like, "Johnny, no, come over here, Johnny." Like, just like, yes. Nope. He's like, "Johnny, come here. You want a sticker?" And it's just like. You're just watching that. You're just like, what?
Hey, Mom, you're like,
this happens.
This happens.
Yeah.
Yes.
It should not be happening.
Johnny, what's really grinding your gears, as us white people say?
Can we get like a segment change? Grinding your gears.
I think what's grinding my gears as far as, what you have me here for is the fact that instructors think that they don't have to train. And I'm not saying you have to be there 9 hours every day, but I think it keeps you sharp. It keeps you in the now. And it also allows you to lead from an empathy standpoint, that you know what it is to be tired.
Yes.
You know what it is to do the burpees. You know that we make mistakes. I was working out, and one of my black belts came in this school, and he was on the side, and I was training, and I threw a jab, and he said, "Sensei," I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" He said, your jab is coming back like this. That's why you here, to be my eyes, right? Like there is no, you can't, I don't want to be in an environment where I can't be corrected.
Yes.
And the thing for me is I'm trying to be a better listener, right? So going to therapy has definitely made me just, when I want to say something, I'm like, let me listen, right? So I think the constant growth, man, and I think that they disconnect how their constant growth will affect everything that they put themselves into. That's the thing that's a little bit that we want the shortcut. We want to skip the line and skip the part out of owning a restaurant and never tasting the food that you sell. You know, that's the thing that's the thing that irks me a little bit.
I think some people only train for a dopamine hit to get comments about them. Like, you know, because they get they put a video up. But I think that's also why a lot of martial arts school owners don't train, is because they're getting the dopamine hit from everyone telling them how great they are all the time and bowing to them and saying yes sir and all this stuff. And they probably, maybe they used to compete or they used to be a great martial artist and they like the recognition, and now they're getting the recognition without having to do the work. So they just stop doing the work over time. I think that's run rampant in our industry for a lot of people.
Yeah, it needs to be broken up. That whole mentality, this needs to be stripped down and rebuilt and recreated.
We should just, like, anytime someone calls you Grandmaster, we bring in like a UFC fighter and you have to spar with them. You have to spar like 5 rounds with them. And then afterwards, like if you survive, you could have people call you Grandmaster still.
You know, but this is, you know, so the direction, the redirection in that is, I had a friend who told me he does well. And he's like, you know, is it always about fighting with you? And I said,
everyone thinks that.
You know, and I said, first of all, you go in your school and you know what you do? You're going to tell me punching, kicking, moving, faking, and then got the nerve that when I say to you something about those things being used, is it all about fighting? Of course, it's not all about fighting, but you're teaching lessons through fighting. You punching in the air, beating the hell out of Ghost. Like, this is what you do. We kick and punch and block shit all day. What are you talking about? Like, stop making it what it's not. It is, that's what it is. And we base the lessons in that. Like,
you'll like this. I just tell you about this post. There's a female school owner that posted about her teen class. Okay, so
yeah.
So she's like, some gurus in quotation marks say that you need to teach combat martial arts in order to be successful, which none of us have ever said. It's just our preference.
Yes.
I think you can be successful with any style of martial arts you teach.
You think she was talking about you?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, and she goes, look at our teen classes packed. Now, let me just say, there's like 10 kids in it. But every kid was like nerdy looking, lanky. Like, I'm not trying to put kids down, but just I get it. Like, there's no athletes in that class whatsoever. And I'm like, well, if you keep people in their comfort zone, they're probably going to keep training for a while, like regardless. But you could tell that none of those kids are actively getting pushed out of their comfort zone and develop into athletes. Like, we had our black belt test recently, and it was the first time that we had our black belt test where they tested the full, like, new curriculum. There's no taekwondo being tested on. And I remember I leaned over to Scotty at one point. I go, this is exactly why we do what we do. I'm like, all of these kids are completely transformed physically from when they first started. Their confidence is transformed. And sort of the icing on the cake for me was, after we got done with the 10th sparring round, one of the teenage girls was crying. So I go up to her and I'm like, are you okay? Did you get hurt? And she's like, I'm just so proud of myself. And I was like,
it's a beautiful thing,
yes. Right? And I go, that makes everything worth it. That makes everything that we've done worth it. So I'm like, you can crap on combat sports or whatever, but like, I'm confident enough that I can visually see every single physical transformation that also carried over to the mental transformation as a result as well. And I will stand by that product every day of the week.
You know, you just made me realize something. Like, I don't think I ever felt super proud of myself winning in kata. It was always when I fought and won. It was a different feeling. to be able to win against, I sparred against the women
540, that's why.
for a long time, and I would win. And then I started sparring with the guys. And whenever I could place, I didn't always win first, but if I could place against the guys, that was when I could feel myself grow, could feel proud of myself, because it was like I actually pushed myself outside of a comfort zone and I actually did something that I could be proud of. And I would win in cuddle all the time, and it was just like, whatever. So you reminded me of that. All right, what's grinding my gears? Call the fucking leads.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I don't understand how we went from this is like, we talked about this like the other night at dinner, I think. Back in the 90s, you didn't have online advertising. You maybe got 5 leads a month if you were lucky. You'd have to do your lead boxes and your demos, and you'd have to VIPing and like 5 people who would come in, and you would treat them like absolute VIP rock stars. You would follow up with them day, night, because that was all you had.
And then you'd have them wash your mats after class.
And they'd call you master.
Yeah.
Because that's all you had. You only had 5 people and you treated them like gold. Yeah. Now it's like we are so lazy and
every excuse possible for why you didn't call your leads.
It drives me crazy. And automations are great. And I love that we have that ability to not let people fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
But it's not the same. It's not the same as getting on the phone and having a conversation. And like you said, building a relationship so that people can know, like, and trust you, which is the only way they're going to buy from you. They're not going to buy. They're going to walk in your door and say, can you sell me a membership, please? Just because we sent them an automated text message that said, thank you so much for opting in. Yeah. This is crazy. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse. The entitlement about the lead situation is making me crazy.
It's crazy too when you look at it compared to the fitness industry, because people that I know that own fitness locations, they are like, leads are their lifeline, and they treat it like their lifeline. A lead comes in, they're calling them. They're making hundreds of calls a day to get people in. And everyone's like, well, why is the fitness industry more successful than us? Why are they enrolling 45 people a month and we're only enrolling 7? Mm-hmm. It's like, they treat leads like what they are. They are opportunities to grow your business and to make more money. And when that lead comes in, like, the manager is getting down on the team, but the team's not calling lead. And guess what? If there's no one on the team to call a lead, the manager is calling the leads themselves. I was on a call a couple of weeks ago with a school owner. He's like, I'm just struggling with lead conversion. And I'm like, okay, well, like, talk me through the process. You got the text message automations, the email automations. I'm like, are you calling on your leads? He's like, well, and I go, you're not. I go, because you would have just been like, yes, like, I'm calling them 3 times a day, whatever. And I go, you're not calling the leads. I'm like, that's the difference. I was like, if you pick up the phone and call the leads, all you need to do, you can be the worst person at having a conversation, the worst person at selling. You're still going to see an increase in enrollments just because you're picking up the phone and making the damn call.
I don't understand. Isn't this what we love to do? Why are we so afraid to get on the phone and talk about it? This is what we want to do.
They want the easy button.
Yeah.
But we want our communities to experience the gifts and the benefits of martial arts. Why are we so afraid to talk to people about that?
Well, here's the other thing this person said. They're like, well, I think it's the leads. I think they're just bad leads.
Of course it is.
And I go, are they coming from too far away? And he goes, no. I go, well, what makes you think that they're bad leads? And he's like, well, they don't pick up the phone. I go, we just figured out that you're not calling the leads. And if you do, you call them once and you never call them again. And I was like, how many missed calls do you get a day if someone calls you? And I'm like, and you're sitting there saying that they're bad leads because you called them once. I go, if I was running your school, would those leads still be bad leads? And he goes, no.
Or someone will message and we follow up days later. Days.
Or even hours and hours and hours later.
It's 2024. People want shit yesterday. Yeah. So if you're not willing to be ahead of the curve on responding, they're going to move on. They're going to find someone who will respond to their messages or who will pick up the phone and call them. So that's what's grinding my gears.
I also think part of that too is for the people that have managers at their school, the manager is blaming the leads. And then the owner's not holding the manager accountable for actually calling leads and following the processes and the systems. And
hold my beer.
Yeah.
Also, like, I've heard this so many times. Well, I don't want my manager to have to call leads at 8 a.m. That's their time off. Fuck that shit. You running a business? Call the damn leads. When I was running a martial arts school for 12 years, I was at dinner. Excuse me, there's a lead coming in. I have to go take this call. 100%. We're building a business. And if you don't want your team to do it, I respect that. And I think that's cool because then you need to pick up the phone while you're at dinner with your family, because that's the business that we're in. And a lot of people can't call between 12 and 3 because they're working. Mm-hmm. So if they're calling at 7 and you're at dinner with your family, guess what? If you want to make money, then you excuse yourself from the table for 5 minutes and maybe you say, hey, I would love to chat with you. How's tomorrow at 12 o'clock?
Make some connection.
But you can't ignore it, and you can't use the excuse, well, I don't want my team to have to be on call all the time. Someone has to.
You know what's funny too is because you and I both know other agency owners in the space. It's not a one agency type thing. It's like every agency owner says the same thing. It's like they just don't call the leads. Like we need for Move, 55 leads a month is all we need to like get pretty close to our goals. And there's like some people that are getting 110 leads and they're like, these leads are bad. I'm not getting the enrollments I need. And I was like, you need better systems. Like you need to actually follow the framework instead of just like hope marketing and hope enrolling people.
Yeah, I would say to Kelly's point, one of my staff members actually proved me wrong. She was like, I want to start calling leads at 7:30 in the morning. This was over the summer. And I was like, we're not calling leads at 7:30. That's so unprofessional. We're not going to do that. She's like, so just a heads up, I've been doing it for a month. And actually that's when everyone answers the phone call. She's like, I signed up. She's like, that's how we hit 20 kids last month. And I was like, touche. Okay. Everyone, media text message. We're all starting calling leads tomorrow, 7 a.m. And
did you fire her for challenging your opinion?
I did not.
I was about to just say to you,
no.
The beautiful thing though is
did you ever do knuckle push-ups on the carpet?
That she can speak to you about doing it another way. Yeah. That's the important thing.
Yeah, it worked. We do exactly. I was like, this is crazy. 7:30 to 9:30 is actually our best time to get people to answer the phone. I don't know what's going on. And then the next time is 9 to 10 on Saturday mornings. 9 to 10 a.m. Saturday mornings is our second best time to get answers. But to Kelly's point, I think I got to be honest. I think people, and I mean this in general, not like a specific people, but people got real weak since Facebook ads came out. They don't know how to market. It's like the real estate industry. Again, a lot of my friends are in real estate. Anyone could sell a house in 2020, 2021, 2022. And guess what? Now when interest rates go up, you got to know how to sell a house. You got to know how to connect. You got to know how to prospect. You got to know how to build relationships and not make it awkward. Now we're finding out, when the tide goes out, we're seeing who's swimming naked. You know what I mean? And that's where we're at right now is these people don't know how to sell. They don't know how to run a business. Post-COVID, everyone flooded back into these kids programs. And if your program's not good, that's why it's taking a hit right now.
It was like 1985 Karate Kid movie all over again after COVID. Yeah, that I'm talking about a little bit in my presentation tomorrow, where it's like anyone can lead when everything is going right. Like you can have anyone standing up there and they can look the role, but as soon as everything starts crumbling, that's when you find out who like good leaders actually are and how they stand up and how they redirect the ship and how they bring everyone back on board when the whole world is crumbling around them. Yeah.
What grinds my gears a lot in our industry specifically is the amount of people that DM me or shoot me text messages that want to talk about their business or chat about their business. And don't get me wrong, I'm here for it. I'm here to help. We're all here to help. But I hate having the same conversation over and over and over. No action gets taken. They're not willing to invest in themselves. We always heard the phrase, like I can't afford this. Like you can't not afford this. But that is true. That is true. I'll never forget my first mentor ever. Tim Thackeray, a friend of ours, I know you know Tim. He was like, hey, there's this mentor you need to work with. And I was like, Tim, it's $200 a month. I was like, are you out of your, that's more than my cell phone bill. I remember telling him this, like, that's more my car insurance. I can't afford that. And he's like, dude, just do it or stop calling me. Literally told me. Yep. And I hired that mentor and our business, we blew up. And ever since, that was my first time ever getting exposed to mentorship. And even, more in depth in that conversation is I push back on it as I can't afford it. I don't need a mentor. Like I know how to teach Taekwondo. Like we can do this. And he's like, Donovan, did you have a coach when you were competing? I was like, yeah. He's like, why is there any different? You spent the last 10 years of your life having a coach that you have an amazing relationship with. Do you think he was a big part of the reason you got where you did as an athlete? Absolutely. Why would your business be any different? You need someone with you that is doing it with you, that is helping you, not doing it necessarily for you, but holding you accountable. And I'm just tired of, and I get challenged with the industry that they're not willing to just do the work. Like, let's have the conversation, but let's get to work.
Yeah.
Well, he got quite a few things.
I'm in a good place right now, though. I think I think fake people in the industry really grind my gears, where they're just like, they just act it's mostly not even school owners, honestly. It's just people in the industry, consultants, whatever, that like forward facing on social media, they're like one way. And then like behind the scenes, they're just a terrible person. I think that's part of it. But I think lately, since we're at the summit, I think it's two things. It's number one, people have never been to any of our events that would just message me and be like, you should have me speak on stage at your event. I'll make it 10 times better. And I'm like, all right, number one, you've never been to one of our events, so how do you know it's gonna be 10 times better? Number two, I've never seen you speak at anything, like ever. So like, again, how are you going to make it 10 times better? Or they hit me up and they're like, hey, we want to be part of your event, blah, blah, blah. And they just want from the event. They want to sell to our people. They want to go on stage and promote or sell their product. I'm like, that's not what our event is about. Like, we're here to serve. We're not here to sell to everyone. And I'm not going to just bring someone on stage. I'll speak for free, but I want to, no.
Yeah,
no.
yes.
The podcast is the same thing. Like, people hit me up on the podcast and they'll be like, hey, you should have me as a guest on your podcast. And they're like, we got this cool thing we're doing at our school and blah, blah. And they'll explain it. I go, what's your attrition numbers? Because one guy hit me up. He's like, I want to talk about like, we're doing it. It's awesome for attention. I'm like, what's your numbers? Well, they're not really good yet. And I was like, okay, I go, I'm living in reality here. And I go off data for everything. I go, if your data doesn't show that it's good, then it's not good. Or maybe you just need more time doing it to show that it's good. That could be a thing also. But number one, don't reach out to me and just want when you've never like listened to the podcast and then second, like, don't start trying to push something that you haven't proven yet. Like if you haven't proven it and like stress tested it, it's like when you watch Bar Rescue, right? And the guy, John Tapper, goes in the bar and they're like, nope, our food's great. Our food's blah, blah, blah. And then he eats it and they're like, you just have bad taste and blah, blah, blah. And then they do the stress test. And all of a sudden the entire bar starts panicking. The kitchen gets overwhelmed. Everyone's complaining about their food. It's like, no, you didn't have it as good as you thought you did. Your ego got in the way of what was actually reality. And guess what? This is reality and it sucks, doesn't it?
I mean, it's the fact that somebody should tell you I should be on your podcast is the grandmaster thing. Yeah. It is. It's crazy. I can't even see telling somebody I need to be on their show.
Shanola sends me about 4 emails a week of people reaching out to us that are like, I do this. Like, you should have me on your podcast.
Grinds my gears. Business. Yeah. Owners that don't want to actually work in their business. Is this like an epidemic lately or what?
Yeah.
Just like there's this in there, and maybe it's our fault because we've kind of hyped up the word CEO and we've talked a lot about what that could look like.
And that's going to change.
If you are successful, you can sip Mai Tais on the beach. People took that and like, they ran with it and now they're at the beach.
I think
but their poor businesses are not. Yeah.
You know, just to be transparent, even with me, like I had a rough September and Sharon had called me and she was like, I said, you know what? Let me get the group, the instructors together, right? So I get them together and I have this long conversation with them about my expectations. And then I'm like, you know what? It's me. Because you guys was doing it lovely the way I walked. And I walked away. Well, I would come in, but I wouldn't really see them teaching. I would come in my class. But they were good, but they still needed me to go, hey, all right, this is what we're doing next. And I kind of left them too long by themselves. So it's not, you gotta keep revisiting. Like you can walk away, but you can't walk away and leave. You can be there, train them, come back. And I kind of was like, y'all got this. And they don't have it fully.
That happened exactly the same with us.
That's like happened to me.
With everything that happened this year, I was not in the school that much. Then shout out to the team for like keeping things going and whatever. But as soon as I started getting back in there, like what broke my back was we had 12% attrition one month, which like more hair fell off my head. 12% attrition and 12% closing. Yeah. And I was just like, same thing. I was like, so what's going on? And I was like, it's me.
Yep.
Like, I need to get back in there. I need to start training with the guys. They need to see me teach again.
Yep.
First day in, Scotty's like, dude, he's like, it was so good having you on the mat again. He's like, there's like 5 things you did in class that I was like, oh, I forgot that we do that way.
Yes.
And I was like, all right, I need to, and now I'm there 4 or 5 days a week. Because I want to be. I want to be in there with them.
And you see a new group of students, like, man, you got these new kids, you see the energy. And I'm like, this is,
I guess our attrition is amazing now.
Yes.
Well, business is like a garden, right? You gotta plant the seeds, you gotta water it, you gotta make sure you get sun. But if you don't pull those weeds every now and then, you don't tend to it, it gets out of control. You don't have to be there every day. You don't have to sit there and watch it grow. Right.
Donovan doesn't have to be there every day, but a lot of people do.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's again, I say partly our fault because we are representing as a position of authority where we don't need to be in the business every day. But you have to have it be at a certain level before you can visit.
Yes.
Yeah. Right people. Yes. And even, again, anyone can be an overnight success in a decade, right?
Yes.
I mean, I worked 7 days a week in my school for 8 or 9 years. I was the guy. Like I staying up late watching TV. Someone's messaging me. I get a DM on Facebook. Hey, I'm interested in kids martial arts. I'm signing that kid up at a Saturday night at 11 o'clock on Facebook. That's just, it was literally 24/7. But to Adam's point, building the team and having the right people. But even them, I've had moments over the last couple of years because we've been so focused on growing that I'm not watching this one enough.
Yes. It's a reminder that we got to keep. It's like a relationship. Yeah. You got to. Yes.
It's a relationship.
Yes, it's a relationship. You got to keep. You got to keep dating them. You got to thinking, we married, we good now. You got to keep dating them.
Yeah.
You do. Hey, it's really single.
Yeah.
Just in case anybody.
Scared. Okay. Kelly's crazy.
You got to be 6'6". You
have to have 3 sixes. Six.
You have to interview with all these guys right here, plus like 4 more other guys. So good luck.
We're the filters.
Yes.
We're at 6 feet, 6 figures.
And 6 foot.
6 foot.
Hold on, we need
6 pack.
six pack. Yeah,
yes.
That's right. So let's talk about Kelly's dating life for the last part. No.
And now we're done.
All right, I think that's good, guys. I think we got some good
we're
content.
We're gonna have a good weekend, man.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I appreciate you guys for being here with us.
And if anybody's out there that's watching and you serious about your school growing with real people who are successful or in their schools who have their different strengths, I absolutely recommend that you give the Relentless CEO an opportunity. Come to the masterminds, come to the summit. This is just real people running schools here who care, right? So I think that's what makes this situation a unique situation that we have here.
Appreciate that, man.
I want to see how sexy I am from 1 to 100.
One wasn't even a video. One was audio.
Yeah, see, you can see how much more sexy in 100 than I was in 1.
I see you at 300.
Watch, that's going to be No. No, I'm trained. I'm active. I'm not going to be with no cane cows.
Hey, everyone, just want to give a giant thank you for following us for 100 episodes. If no one was listening, I probably still wouldn't be doing this. I do it because I want to give back to the industry and provide value. And all my guests that have been on the show, thank you as well, because this show wouldn't be what it was or what it is without you guys.
We're unstoppable. To the top, we about to go. That CEO, I need to know the impact we about to grow. Competition comical. Straight A1, we on the road. Money focus for the goal. Tell them what they need to know. We unstoppable.